talking of Eva Marie, when I was looking up Gate Carly, I was trying to figure out if he was in the worst 50 ranked wrestlers of all time. He's not, but Eva Marie was. She was the most famous person I'd heard of in the top 50. I think her rating was like 1.3 or something, or 1.4.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Cage Match. CageMatch.net. I was searching for. I can send you the link if you like.
I'm better now. Right, so I'm looking for database. Yeah. No, that's not right. Surely other titles. No.
The link through chat, right? I think that's how it works.
Wrestlers. There we go. Top list. There we go. Okay.
You want to select the flop 50.
Flop 50.
If you can see that.
Found it, yeah.
Alright. Now, we're technically recording right now. I did want to ask you, Matt, have you ever heard, so I don't know if you can see that list then of the the worst wrestlers of all time according to Cage Match.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Bubba the Love Sponge. Are you familiar with Bubba the Love Sponge?
Yeah.
That's what I wondered. I thought you might be. I wasn't. I kind of did a little bit of research. I saw it was on WCW and...
Great, yeah. He's the person who did the homophobic, racist porn video with Hulk Hogan.
That's kind of what I figured from when I was starting to research. Like, I don't remember. I was talking more of us as a wrestler. Have you seen him wrestle?
Nope, because I have no interest in seeing that thing naked.
Okay, fair enough. All right. One Warrior Nation still apparently wrestles. He's the second person on that list. The reason we're talking about this is you talked about Eva Marie in the regular record, and I just mentioned the fact that she was in the worst 50. I'm trying to find where she is right now.
I didn't. Graham, that was off air. I talked about it.
Oh, that was off air? Oh, okay. Oh, actually, I don't see her on that worst 50. I think you can extend it by 50 more names, I think it said. But I can't figure out how to do that now. Alright, never mind. Oh, Katie Forbes is on that list. Okay, I do know who Katie Forbes is, actually, so I guess there was a more famous person who I'd recognised. Yeah, I think Katie Forbes... Impact.
Rodney's on there. Remember, Eva Marie's number 39, Graham.
Oh, there we go. I just missed it. Yeah, Katie Forbes is on Impact, so there was one more. Let's just skip through that.
Bond studs.
They're kind of interesting just looking at some of the rankings on here. The top end of that list, I've actually asked questions to view from the top rope, so I'm not going to talk about some of the top names. What about Scott Wiener? Oh, Doink's on there. I missed Doink. Oh, God, I must have been speed reading again. Obviously, I know who Doink is.
You mean
I
Steve
see Reed. Oh, Giant Gonzalez is on that list as well, not surprisingly as well,
yeah.
I guess. I think Major Guns I've heard of as well. Alright, there's a few more names on that list, I thought. Alright, Matt, you got anything to chat about? I have a couple of topics. I actually wrote down a few. Normally I don't write anything down, but I wrote down a couple of things actually this week.
I want to talk about my behalf.
Okay.
Everybody knows my behalf, Chris. Obviously, everything to this today, but Chris's latest podcast dropped yesterday. But it wasn't the only podcast he recorded this week. It's not out for a few weeks. But Chris guested on Dungeons and Junkies this week.
Okay.
Chris ran the game. And he ran the game for 6 players who have been playing together pretty much for the last year. That's myself, Caitlin. Caitlin is an amazing person. Ailey's great. Alex, obviously. People are familiar with Alex and Chad, obviously. And Kerry. Chris did a phenomenal job, and I am so proud of him. In fact, it was one of the moments where I was like, I finished, and I just gave the biggest hug. I was like, you did such a good job. I was so proud of him.
And how many weeks does this podcast go on for?
What, for his one?
Yeah, the one you got. I'm being facetious. How many hours did the game last?
3 hours. But we split it up into sections when it's released. We don't do marathon long episodes now. We cut it into parts, like part 1, part 2. Much easier, because no one has time to do a 3-hour show in one go. But that's
leave a cliffhanger as well, right?
Well,
will the person roll a 7? Find out next week.
Not quite like that. But I I once left one of the players banging over a cliff. So.
Ooh.
And this was a case. It literally was a case of will they survive or not? Find out next time we come back here. And it was in for another 5 weeks. It came back around to my adventure again. So could we rotate it there? You see, so it's much easier. Yeah. I tell you what, the switch for Good Cop Bad Cop to Sunday actually, and putting Dungeon Junkies on Friday, it worked for both shows so much better.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the reason it worked for Dungeons and Junkies so well is because the same day it comes out is the same day that the guy who inspired me to stop doing Dungeons and Junkies in the first place, Johnny Chiodini. That may mean nothing to you. He runs a Dungeons and Dragons one for 2 YouTube channels, and their podcast, because they started releasing during lockdown, comes out the same day. So we now promote alongside it pretty much. So, nice. And I actually subscribed to his Patreon, and I'm now advertising him at the Dungeon Junkies and the whole network through that as well. So we're getting more people from that now checking the network out. It's all working out quite nicely.
Now, I can't remember if you talked about this in the main segment or if it was between segments, but I know you were talking about the vaccines, you were talking about US leading the charge. Biden actually had his first solo press conference this week.
Yes.
And he talked about the fact that I already mentioned the fact that he went through 100 million because originally it was 100 million in 100 days, and he made it on like day 57. He not only vowed to continue at that rate, he's going to speed it up. He's asked for now 200 million vaccines in the first 100 days. And Matt, they actually set a record yesterday. It was 3.4 million vaccines in one day. So if they could keep that rate up, it would only take another 30 days. Yeah, you talked about light at the end of the tunnel. It really does feel like that in the US now, the speed they're going through. One thing I did want to talk about, and it doesn't feel quite as bad now. I was one of the first people in Virginia probably to get the vaccine. I wasn't the initial group, but I was probably like the second group. And for my age, I was obviously jumped the queue, but that's because I was a teacher. I actually felt kind of guilty. Like, I was so excited to get my vaccine, and I was posting it on social media, and I was like, oh my gosh, what about the people that aren't getting their vaccine? I don't know. I don't know if it was the right thing to do or not, but I am really enjoying now this last week or two. I've seen lots of people are posting. They're getting their first shot, and they're getting the sticker that says I got a vaccine, and you can just see the relief that people have, that they can see that normalcy starting to return. But I know you talked about James feeling that as well, like he felt guilty when he got his vaccine, so I can definitely relate to it, but for probably a slightly different reason. But yeah.
Yeah, James has had his vaccine. He felt guilty because, he's only in mid-30s and he's in good health, but my nephew, his son, he is at very high risk. And that's why James and his other half, Kirsty, have been vaccinated. And keeping your family safe is a first priority. Teachers in this country don't have a priority.
Yeah.
I actually I do understand why. I don't necessarily agree why, but I get why, because trying to say because I don't know how it works in America, but because National Health Service, at no point on my doctor's thing does it say what I do for a living, and no one's got time to do that because people could lie as well.
I guess that might be the difference then. See, literally I'm going to say our union, our county paid for the, well, I don't think they paid for it. I think they were prioritized. I think the state gets to decide how it's done. This one actually has nothing to do with whether you have health insurance or not. That's irrelevant for this vaccine, actually. But they're making sure that there's an order that people get it. And the state decided that schools were important. They wanted, because obviously in England, people have been back in school for some cases a large part of this year. That was not true in Virginia, so to get us back into schools, they thought it was really important that the teachers be vaccinated. Now that might also be because of the nature of America as well, the litigious nature. Like, it might, I don't know, but it's very possible that teachers could possibly sue if they caught the virus and they were forced back into the school before it was possibly safe, or what they considered safe. So I'm not sure if that was part of the reason, but I'm certainly glad that I was here. and not in England anymore, I felt a lot safer being virtual for most of the year, but then also receiving my vaccine. And I'm past my 2 weeks now, past my second vaccine as well. So still being safe, still wearing my mask, all things like that, but I definitely feel a lot safer than what I did 2 months ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the roadmap in the UK is slightly different to one over in America, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I know that the CDC have said in America that if you've been vaccinated twice, then you can socialise happily with other people who have been vaccinated. And I'm like,
Correct.
well, that makes sense. Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The roadmap in the UK, I was looking this up because Alex actually needed to revise the rules for work, because he's in the office now at work, and he wanted to make sure things were sorted. Before I get to that though, schools only went back 2 weeks ago, Graham, in the UK.
Yeah, but you've had other periods when you've been back in school. They cancelled
not
Christmas time.
The high schools haven't been.
Perhaps so they have for certain groups. People who had essential workers, they've been in school the whole time.
I think the majority of them haven't been. A majority, I'd say. But in any case, the level's gone up a little bit. I'm talking maybe less than 100 people, I'd say, have gone up as a result of it, which is good. Obviously, numbers are plummeting still.
Figures for England phenomenal. It's basically approaching zero. That's and America's certainly dropping. It's slightly increased in Virginia, but considering it had dropped like a third, it's almost insignificant since. And obviously, as more and more people get vaccinated in both countries, there's going to be that herd immunity starting to kick in pretty soon as well.
It's also the people who are actually not suffering from it. People who are in hospital. People in hospital. I remember back in January, it was nearly 65,000 people in the UK.
Yeah.
And at the last count, it's nearly 5,000 now.
Okay.
So that's a massive drop. I can't do that sort of math, Graham. You have to help me here. How much percentage drop is that?
Did you say a percentage drop? Did you say it dropped 5,000 or it dropped to 5,000?
It dropped from 65,000 people to 5,000 people.
Oh, 65. Oh, sorry, I misheard them originally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a big drop. That's probably down 93%, something like that. That's a big drop.
That's in January. That's well done, NHS. Thank you so much for everything you've done. In fact, Paxton Hospital, time of recording, to where I work, of course, is completely green. Not a single case.
That is awesome. That's awesome. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about this week was topical in the news, obviously the tanker that's been stuck in the Suez Canal. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about that... I'm sorry?
What?
You didn't know about that?
About what?
The tanker.
What tanker?
Oh my god. So you got no idea about the Suez Canal story at all? Am I picking the wrong canal?
What's the Suez Canal?
Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Alright, what do you got to talk about? You better be messing with me.
Of course I am.
Alright, you're just messing with me. So obviously
I know about the Evergreen ship, yes.
I don't think our American audiences are gonna understand the references at all. But certainly there's quite a few memes featuring Uncle Albert. From Only Fools and Horses, which I absolutely love. And I was going to mention it just because of that. I caught a little bit of NXT UK just before we recorded, and I'm not sure who the person who was talking to Trent Seven was, but during the promo that they had, he told him to, "Shut up, you tart." And I was like, oh my gosh, that's that's Del Boy right there. So there was a few things that reminded me of Only Fools and Horses this week. Can you imagine that being said on regular WWE? It just wouldn't fit in at all. But for British audiences, it made perfect sense. I think you already talked to James about this on one of your episodes, but I was going to ask you your favourite comedies. Sitcoms.
Well, we have talked about that before. We talked about it on Bad Lads as well. Me and Chris talked about UK sitcoms. Only Fools is definitely a favourite of mine. I did say that Dad's Army had a special place in my heart. It's no longer my favourite one because I was ridiculed so much at the time for it. But it had a special place for me because it's the first one I was allowed to watch.
Gotcha.
It wasn't because I didn't break my curfew because I wanted, because it was the best comedy. I was allowed to break my curfew because it was on.
I got you. And probably for a similar reason, like, I'm not particularly a big fan of A Low, but it's one I remember watching with my parents. because it was on at that.
Hello. Are you being served? I love more.
We won't talk about Mrs. Slocum. We'll carry on.
I'm stroking my pussy, Captain Peacock.
All right. Well, I guess you will.
With regards to Only Fools, though, it's got some of the best lines of all time. One of my favourite ever is when they've got Raquel's family around for dinner, and Uncle Albert's gone to make the coffee, like, and Gilbert's wandered in there, find out what he's doing. Like, what are you making the coffee for? Like, well, we've always finished our dinner now. Like, yeah, but we're not talking like normal. We're talking between mouthfuls. It takes a little longer. He's like, well, I don't know, do I, boy? Like, I thought, no harm done. And he goes and sniffs it and finds out it's gravy he's making, not coffee. And he's like, if that's gravy there, what are they pouring over there, meat and veg in there? And he comes back in and sees them doing it. He just shuts the door like, they're only doing it now. They're only doing it in there now. They're only pouring Maxwell bleeding out, I'm glad it's available, over their meat and 2 veg. God, not only have you sunk every submarine and battle cruiser you've been on, now you've knackered a gravy boat.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I actually have 2 copies of Only Fools and Horses, like, video collection, a DVD collection. And the reason I have 2 is, it's difficult to get in the US. I saw it in the UK. I ordered it. It was like, I don't know, £40, £35, really cheap for like every DVD you could have.
Yeah.
Sent it to my mom's, and then when we came over, I was like, well, I'll just pick it up in 2018 and I'll bring it back. So I reminded her like a couple of months before. I was like, hey, make sure you got that DVD ready for us. She can't find it. She has no idea where it is. She put it somewhere in the house, and she has no idea where it is. So I saw it again. It was on eBay or something. It was like the same price. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not waiting. She might never find that. So yeah, I have a second copy of it. But yeah, so I thought I was saving myself money. Nope, it sat somewhere in her house, and she has no idea where it is. But yeah, they're classic. First 2 seasons, not fantastic, I gotta say. But once you get to season 3, they're classics all the way after that, as far as I'm concerned.
It's such a difficult show to do at one point as well, because obviously Grandad died, Leonard Pierce died in the middle of filming the series.
Yeah.
They were going to cast a woman at one point to be the grandmother instead, and David Eaton pulled the pin and said, no, we can't have a woman. And he's like, why not? Like, I can't throw her in the back of a van. That's what it was about. He couldn't manhandle a woman. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well...
And belittling a woman probably as well wouldn't be his part. Where it's a little bit more acceptable to do it to his uncle.
It was completely against everything that Del Boy stood for. And I'm like, absolutely... People are like, oh, it's sexist. Need you hear about the reason why? I'm like, not in the slightest. It's like Sid James. Sid James, who everyone had down as this chauvinistic pig, basically. I remember hearing a story about him being in a taxi, and he actually had a black taxi driver, and someone was rude to the taxi driver. So James got out of the taxi, chased the guy down and beat him up for being racist to the taxi driver.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't know that. I found this out a few months ago. I was like, credit where it's due, Sid James, if that's always true anyway. What about you, Greg? What's your favourite comedy, though? Is it Only Fools? I
don't know if I got a favourite all time. One I'd probably go back to a lot is Blackadder. I certainly like those. Father Ted is another one that would probably...
Baldrick didn't have to end its way.
Fall into that category. American ones, Seinfeld. I absolutely love Seinfeld. I've watched those multiple times. I like Frasier. I'm not going to say I don't.
It's coming back.
I'm sorry?
It's coming back to HBO.
Oh, it is?
HBO will be doing it, yeah.
Huh. Did not know that.
Only Frasier's coming back, apparently, though.
Yeah.
I've got to do my Baldrick quote now. You've done that. I'm so sorry. You don't know, like, Baldrick, did it have to end this way? Me cutting you the long strips and having to tell the prince that you walked over an extremely sharp cattle grid in a very heavy hat.
Love those guys. Blackadder 4 is my favourite of all. The first one, again, for that. First series is awful. I'm surprised they even made a second series.
Well,
that first one is unwatchable.
They brought in Ben Elton, you see. That's what it is.
Ah.
They brought in Ben
Elton.
Elton.
He was on the first one as well?
No.
Oh.
No. There's actually a great documentary done by the TV channel Dave in his country. You can find it on YouTube. I'll send you the link later on. Called The Whole Rotten Saga. Goes from start to finish about the whole thing. It's actually fantastic.
Ah. Yeah.
The good stuff behind the scenes, because you've obviously got Rowan Atkinson, who became Mr. Bean. You've obviously got Stephen Fry, who did QI and all these amazing shut things. Hugh Laurie, what's he done since that? I'm being sarcastic, of course. And of course,
Tony Robinson.
Sir.
Oh, sir. Oh, I didn't know he was knighted.
He's a Knight of the Realm for his contributions to archaeology.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So that means he now outranks Blackadder. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I love doing these little chats, Graham.
This has worked better than what we used to do before. This is far better. Yeah. I just gotta remember to think of like one thing I want to talk to you about, which normally we'd do that anyway, and then we just started changing how we do it. But yeah, this works perfectly good. Alright, Matt, I'm gonna go and enjoy my spring break. I'm gonna see if everybody's up and having breakfast now. I still got the rest of the day ahead of me. It's not even 9 o'clock here. It's like, wow.
Okay.
Got a lot done. Productive morning.
Don't forget, of course, it's daylight saving time for us tonight, so we're back to normal time next week, Graham, of course. 5 hours ahead of you.
5 hours, yep. Alright, buddy. I'll see you in a week's time.
I'm going to see mother-in-law. I'm out of here.
Talking of...